some coffee, got some time off of work, so I think I'm gonna try to get the drivetrain kind of nailed down on this wagon. I think we're gonna do a Gen 3 Coyote with a 10-speed. I'm just really, no. What we're gonna do is, let me just show you what we're working with. Relatively low miles, 154,000. Good times. Something's been living in here. That came off really easy. May have been off before. This is without question the heaviest hood I've ever encountered. I don't like spiders. More hood, I got you. I can remember my dad battling this kind of stuff with their old Taurus and LTDs in the 90s. They'd stay parked under the carport out at the farm. The rats would get in there. He would actually zip tie rat poison to the engine so they get in there and eat that. This wire and that wire have been cut by rats gnawing on it. Uh-oh, your relay's clicking. Fuel pump just fired. The key must be on. Some life in it still. Like Michael Irvin from the Cowboys used to say, we're going to do the wrong thing the right way. So I'm going to take a piece of wire, strip it, cut it, twist it together. And then I'm going to make a little, for lack of a better word, a little hangman's noose. And slide it over the stud, and then I'm going to twist it until it tightens up. And then, like all temporary fixes, we will definitely come back and do this the correct way. Maybe a year or two from now, but we'll do it. There we go. Just twist it until it tightens. Uh-oh, pump. Nada. That might be our little connection. Let's jump the solenoid and see what happens. The key's on. So ECU, electronically, everything should know it's trying to start. Let me see if I can fire this solenoid. Oh, there we go. Scared the living daylights out of me. Come on, girl. I mean, that's if I can work with that. That's really it. Yeah, that thing's gonna run. Let's get to work. Not only is this a testament to engineering and whatnot of vehicles in the early 90s, but it's also a testament to more than likely non-ethanol gasoline being in that tank. The fact that that thing hit a lick like that, and I didn't put nothing in it. Yeah, I wish gas was like that. So I'm gonna start tearing this thing apart, get it out of this. What we have is a 3L73, which is a home run because that's an 8.8 rear end with 373s and a limited slip. So I will be using this in the red 59 for sure. I have 373 gears, rear sway bar, disc brakes. This is what you want. Might have to narrow this side. I don't know. I don't care. Super stoked about this. I've been looking for one of these. So I'm going to start with hacking off the exhaust. Just get it out of the way to start with, and then go from there. Just keep running. Pull the drive shaft, undo the motor mounts, unplug the wiring harness, probably pull the upper intake off, tape the ports up. Just that typically makes it easier to pull these out. And we're just gonna keep going. Okay, so we've got the exhaust cut out the way, all the converters out of the way, oxygen sensors unplugged. I put the drive shaft bolts back in the rear axle so I don't lose them. Next will be undoing the transmission bolts underneath, the engine bolts underneath for the mounts, and then we'll let the truck down, get on top, work for a while, get down through the engine, try to pull the harness, try to pull the intake, get closer to seeing what all you really have to take off to pull this thing out of here. One good thing about doing this with a Ford is they don't make plugs that can plug in wrong. So a lot of brands, a plug can plug into some other sensor, it can be wrong. Ford does every plug different, so it can only plug into the right one. So just kind of let that be something that gives you confidence to go after this. Auto cable pops right off. Looks just like what you air up a tire with. Just press that. It'll relieve the pressure. So the fuel come out of there. You loosen this, and it drains out of this fitting here. Hopefully into your bucket. At least it's green. That's a win. Let that puke out for a while. Right now is a good time to take a bathroom break if you need to. No drain plug on these transmissions. Ford doesn't do that on this year model, so I don't really want to lose 11 quarts of ATF. So I'm going to pull this out, slide it back on the shaft, zip tie it somehow so it stays in there. Hopefully I don't lose any fluid. So this isn't super technical. You just take these C-clips out. These have been in there for probably its whole life. Finagle them out of there. Same thing on the other side. So we're wanting this piece, that's the yoke. That's what slides in the transmission. Hopefully that thing doesn't sting me, whatever that was that just blew by. So now that you got those out, it doesn't just come out. You still have to press the caps off that joint. So I'll go grab a couple of sockets. I tend to use one that's small enough to fit in there and one that's big enough to surround that. That way you can somewhat press it through there. So this one's big enough to kind of sandwich it. This one's small enough to get in it. Just scoot your vise out far enough to catch both of them. Put one inside, one outside. And you're just going to press it all the way in. There we go. So now it's coming all the way through. I think that socket was kind of holding it. So you want that cap pushed through enough where you can pull it off and then sink it back in. So now that's like that. Ooh, still not bad. So now you got the cap off. Press it back the other way, get the other cap off. Need a smaller socket. The other way, pinch your finger. So hard it makes your heart hurt. And off it comes. So now that we have the yoke, slide it back in the seal and transmission fluid will not leak out. We're going to zip tie the yoke into the transmission so it can't come out. Don't want to make a mess in the shop. Like that. So now that the radiator is somewhat drained, I'm going to undo the bottom hose. You're going to have water in it from the engine out. So these end caps on these radiators are plastic, so you don't want to be too dirty, but you'll take it and kind of twist it, break the seal. A lot of times you can get the fluid out of there. Drain it out without getting it all over you. Takes a little longer, but you're not bathing in antifreeze. It's sticky. Yeah, not too bad.
All right, so next I think I'll undo these transmission lines here and here.
My son's taking Grammy to the grocery store in the black truck. Tags have been out since September, and I think there's a taillight out, so this may not end well.
Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. He'll get out of it, right? No? You did a life lesson, so you can talk yourself out of a ticket. You got your grandmother with you, so they'll let you go.
I got a window tint ticket in that truck.
Like, really?
We got all the crime taken care of, huh? We're running window tint tickets.
All right, so those are loose, out of the way. Well, they're loose. And bend them out of the way. They're going to be routed differently anyway. Probably make new ones. But oh, I need to undo the starter next also. Metric standard, metric standard. Billy today. Uh-oh. That was almost a bad deal. What's going on? Oh, mini starter. Sweet. I'm going to put these bolts back in the starter hole, because if I don't, I will for sure lose them
And complain about it.
Okay. We're back on top. I'm going to undo the radiator hoses up here. Keep going. About that, it must have been some technical difficulties when I was using my evap system to collect the coolant out of the air conditioning system. I guess for some reason it didn't record, so you just have to take my word for it, I guess. But it's empty now, and we can disconnect the condenser and get it out of there. I hope. Trying not to cut stuff like a banshee, but they got things zip tied. Carrie. That's why I have trust issues. This is your AC condenser.
I'm going to be cutting fiberglass. You don't really want to breathe that. Or at least at this point in my life, I don't. You younger cats probably do, and that's fine. I did when I was your age, but now I'm trying to play the long game a little bit. I'm not going to use any of this, and I don't care about it, so that's the only reason I'm done fighting these screws and all this other jabber. Get to this transmission cooler, and then it's off with its head on this front end.
Item right here is what I'm chasing. Transmission cooler. It just basically air cools the transmission. This is something I would like to use and can retrofit if I have to. World of Sport. It looks like the coolant goes around the oil filter. So this is the oil filter. This is from the water pump. Looks like it wraps around where the oil filter bolts into the adapter and coolant flows out of it. I wonder if that's to... Yeah, I don't get that at all. One way to do it. You dirty rat. Do this oil cooler so I don't completely trash it, and then just I'll loop the lines together somehow, some way. So what I'm going to do is unhook one of these here and then one up here, connect the two. Again with the zip ties. So there's a wiring harness that runs right along where I want to cut. So I want to make sure I can get that out of there. So let's get this front end off before they even gets here. Got it. Behind this master plug here, in this panel, I forgot I wasn't filming when I undid it. Just two nuts here. You pull this off, and this comes out. This is your ECU that runs the engine management. This is what you need to put in something else if you swap one of these drivetrains. This is the almighty brain of this swap. Without this, it doesn't work unless you go aftermarket. So a good way to do these swaps is locate that, pull it, and then trace that wiring. Get everything that comes out of that. And if it goes to something, that's something you need. Upper off. This intake split into two pieces, and the only thing that runs through this is air. There's no fuel. The fuel engages at the fuel rail. So you got 6 bolts, 2 smalls, really smalls, and they do not want that thing to come off. Alright, so stupid ass mosquitoes. Alright, got that undone.
This is connected to it. It's vacuum lock. I don't think it's this. Get this out the way. Fuel rail. This is interesting. We've got 1, 2, 3 injectors not connected because rats have eaten the harness. So it was only running on one cylinder on this side. And then over here, it looks like they haven't really got into it because it's under this master harness, but we won't know until we get it out and dig around. So yeah, at the very best, oh, no coolant temperature signal to the engine, so it doesn't know how to mix the fuel. It looks like I broke the dipstick off, so I'll have to get that out of there somehow. The fact that it tried to start today is pretty epic, to be honest with you. It's only getting, you know, at best case scenario, it's running either rich or lean on 5 cylinders. So I've got the intake off. I'm going to pull the exhaust manifolds off. I've got brackets that bolt to the exhaust heads that make that easy to pull out. So we take the manifolds off. Probably call it a day after that. Like I said, I just need to pull the manifolds off to buy a little more room and to have something to bolt onto. I always like bolting onto the head instead of the intake. It just, I don't know. It's just, it seems more sturdy, I guess. I don't know. These things come off of different Ford small blocks. They bolt to the exhaust mounts. I think that's a Fox body, that's a F-150. They all work. I always keep them if I get them. I've got 15, I couldn't find but 2, so that's why I always keep them. And then you'll have to put some kind of spacer on here to simulate the exhaust manifold. Right here and right there. We'll go right there. I'm going to disconnect this, I don't know if you can see it, fuel line, and there's a spring sits in there and it keeps that tight. And these are the tools. It's pretty much every one of these you can get. You can buy just these, you can buy just these. I just buy all of them because I always break them, but you can rent them, you can buy them, they're cheap. But without them, your life is a nightmare if you're doing this. Super simple, can be annoying at times, but so you just put it in there. There. Got one more to do over here. It's a different size, same process. We will definitely be finding some headers. You got 2 ports into the 3rd port, and then the 4th port catches it. It's crazy. All right, so I got the engine hoist connected to those adapters we put on the exhaust mounts. The car is, truck, whatever it is raised up in the front. And then I've got this jack with this set of 2x6s pushing the transmission up. As you can see, but it's already off the mount. So with that jacked up, I'm gonna take this center mount out. That'll let the transmission drop all the way down. Yep, long distance lubricating. How? At the end of the day, nothing's worth getting hurt over. Good stuff. Cracks a block, let it go. I was ready to let it go, I'm not lying. Don't freak out, keep working. It ain't going nowhere. You got all the time in the world, don't rush. When you rush, that's how people are doing this. Stuck on the shifter. Rats got in here. Injectors need to be fixed. Just a lot going on. I'm gonna clean this thing up best I can. Probably just paint it gray. Throw her in the wagon. I might put an oil pump and timing chain in it since it's out. Come over here and take everything out of this that I need and then push it back out in line. So that's your engine management harness. I'm just gonna follow it back and get as much of it out of here. Do those 3 plugs and they all come out. Okay, so that's all your engine management. You'll have power supplies you can use if you don't want to use a fuse panel. Transmission harness plugs into here, if I'm not mistaken. That's what controls the transmission. Again, this is where it plugs into the ECM. So a lot of work to do, but this is, the harvest is over with as far as I'm concerned. Figure you're looking at, put the upper intake back on, let's call it call it 32 inches. That's a little proud. It's probably closer to 31, but I'm going to add an inch just to, let's call it 32 and see where that stands. We've got 32 inches to play with here. It's going to be super close. Oh, it's going to be close. There's no room for 29 at the firewall from the ground. Probably going to have to go to a front sump oil pan to clear the steering components. I'll have to change the pickup tube. Okay, so I think I'm going to call this episode done. Good progress. It's not very exciting. Got the motor and transmission on the work table, the fab table. I'm going to get this out of here, clean up everything. It's going to be a tight fit as far as height in that wagon. Where it's going to be within a ½ inch of being able to shut the hood. Going to be interesting to see how that turns out. Hopefully this wasn't too boring to watch. Not really exciting stuff, but it's kind of cool in the fact that you harvest so much as far as value. You know, motor looks fine.